hold on. Before we go any further, I would like to kind of explain my goal with this YouTube channel. Snowboarding on YouTube looks a bit strange, if you will. I don't see very many high-level snowboarders making snowboarding consumable for a beginner level snowboarder. I want the average only goes on the weekend snowboarder to be able to watch really good snowboarding and digest it. I would like to think it gets a bit tiring for others, as it does for myself, to see switchback 16s and not really get a breakdown or a full understanding of to what extent this trick is really insane. That's kind of the bridge I would like to gap, break down more behind the scenes of what it takes to land a switch 450, because to the naked eye it might seem difficult, but when you know the select 2 or 3 steps it takes to get to that trick, it might actually be just a group of tricks you already know how to do. It's just a matter of linking them together in a way that makes sense. If I can highlight more of my thought process on camera and help explain some of the things I do, I think it could help anyone learn any trick in a much shorter amount of time. Don't get me wrong, I understand the sense of familiarity and comfortability that comes from watching someone who's around the same level as you. But when I was growing up, I was not learning from people who were at the same level as me. I was watching the professional athletes. I was watching the how-tos from professionals and taking the information from seasoned veterans in their class. So my mission is to bring the highest level of snowboarding amongst my friends, amongst the Midwest, Trollhagen, wherever we travel to. I want to bring that highest level of snowboarding to all of you in a comprehensible way. And now what we're here for. Yesterday was mail day, so today is set up a freshie day. First step is move the lady's shoes because we're gonna be filing in this corner. And the last thing we need to do is get a bunch of metal dust all over her Doc Martens. You can see I already stickered it up. I didn't want to bore you with that process. It takes me a while. I'm pretty OCD about it. I normally like to keep my sticker job the same all throughout the year, but we do have a new graphic coming out, so I figured I'd kind of change it up, and new board should be here by the time this one breaks. So when it comes to setting up your snowboard, there's about 1,000,001 ways to do it. Everyone likes to do it a little different. Don't take the way I do it as the right way. You're actually probably gonna see the way I wax and be like, what the fuck are you doing? But again, it's just what I've found works for my type of snowboarding. First thing I do with a brand new board, of course, is sticker it. I already have it stickered. A couple stickers on a matte top sheet. You gotta kind of use a heat gun, whatever, we'll do that later. Second part of our process is filing the edges. As a snowboarder in the Midwest who is heavily riding rails, I like my edges just about as dull as they can be. Now, some people are gonna think, how do you turn? Why would you take your edges away? They made them sharp for a reason. When I say I take my edges away, I leave outside of my contact points sharp. Pretty much where the innermost set bolts are on each side, I take a file and I dumb this edge down to fully round. Best way to test is when you first get your snowboard, you'll take your nail and you'll scratch. As you can see, it's completely shaving my nail off. That is way too sharp. You're gonna wanna take a junk rag. Don't grab a good one because you're not gonna really wanna use it for anything else after. As a matter of fact, you can see it still has rust stains from doing this with old boards. So you're gonna take your rag, you're gonna get it in the corner so you can push your board into the corner as much as possible and get really good leverage on it. If you don't put weight into filing your edge, you could be here all day and not really see progress. On the contrary, if you put a lot of weight into it and you really feel it grabbing, you could get done filing in 5 minutes. Go into your garage, go into your toolbox and find a big old file like this. First thing is you're gonna kind of just grab it and run it across and see if you actually feel it catching. You'll understand what I'm saying. When I first tell this to people, they don't really get it until you just put a file in your hand, run it across the edge. If you don't feel it kind of grabbing, flip it over, do it again. Okay, so actually on the first try, it was the correct side, so it was grabbing, but the sound is different. Here's the sound of proper filing. Here's the sound of a file not gripping. Once you've found the correct side and you can actually feel and see metal shavings coming off, That's when you're gonna wanna find your contact points. Don't go out. Don't start filing your edge here. That's where you're gonna have loss of control. You're gonna file from here in, essentially the middle. That middle section in between your feet, take it off. Now while I'm doing this, I'm not just holding the file at one certain angle. If the goal is to create a rounded edge, you wanna file maybe one more towards the sidewall. Then take one maybe more 45 degrees, and then one more laying flat towards the base, and you can get that rounded edge and take that harsh, sharp angle away. Once you've got that side, flip her around, and do it again. Now flip her over, and then just repeat that process. Then grab your rag, wipe off the metal shavings. Don't forget to vacuum your carpet when you're done with all of this. Now it's time to wax. Remember how I said that some of the stuff I do, some people are gonna be like, what the hell? This is probably where it starts. This is a brand new board, dry base. I want all this wax in all the pores. So I'm gonna wax this way more than I normally would. If there's any wax heads out there, you're probably hating this right now. I have my iron at 180 degrees and we're about to burn this motherfucker. I know, don't have it that hot, don't have it that hot. But if my goal is to get the wax into the pores of this snowboard as good as possible, I'm gonna scorch the bottom of my snowboard and burn this wax into it. With that being said, I use a lot of wax most of the time, whether it's a new board or old board, because you figure if we go and hit a spot and I ride down dry stairs 2 or 3 times, all that wax is wiping off. I've kind of been accustomed to just waxing my board more than I need to. And even if you go to a resort and you have a bunch of wax on your board, if you're grinding rails, it's gonna come off. So in my mind, I just wax a ton. It doesn't hurt. You can always scrape it off if you need to, but I am a hot iron and tons of wax type of dude. The most important thing with waxing really is just making sure that you have it all evenly dispersed. Try and find the good reflection of the light and then kind of just spin around your board and you should be able to find any bare spots. It's going to be pre-season. The snow gets pretty dirty once any bit of mud gets exposed, and the more wax you have, it's easier for that mud and all the little rocks to get stuck into the base. So we want it pretty much just our hard base. Don't do this inside. Come outside. If it's windy, figure out what direction the wind is going. Stand the opposite way and just start scraping. Flip her around. Keep going. Before I go inside, I like to make sure I scrape all the wax off the edge. Just starts to kind of chip off and it'll get on shit. Just like that. I almost forgot to bring this up. So yes, I file my edges so I don't stick on rails. But on top of that, I file my top sheet on my nose and my tail. So if you've ever been on the rope or in the lift line and someone runs into you and your board chips, because you have this hard angle. There's multiple layers that are glued together to make up your snowboard. And so when someone hits it, it's gonna peel back one of those layers. But if you file it, it'll create a rounded edge, and I promise it'll hold up a lot better than if you don't file it. If you've seen my Instagram clips, you know I'm pretty much riding the same stuff at all times. I'm a firm believer, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I found what I've liked over a long period of time, and now I just ride that stuff. I really just like a good feeling pair of bindings, a nice solid snowboard, and boots that I can rely on. This is my go-to setup. Drake bindings, it's like still crazy to me. It's like a mega dream to be sponsored by them. I remember when I first started snowboarding, everyone had bindings that said Drake right here. The nostalgic piece of snowboarding to me is partially hidden in these bindings, and so it's cool to be sponsored by them. You can tell that this setup is a little louder than normal. We have pink bindings to match the pink board. This is probably gonna be the last juice box board that I ride because our new ones should be here soon-ish. Figured go out with a bang and rock the full pink. With riding the same board and bindings all the time kind of causes problems, like I don't know my stance. I don't know the width. All I can tell you is one bolt is exposed on each side and the angles are 9/9. That's all I know. I don't know how wide my stance is. So just now I went out into the garage. I just made sure that I knew the bolting points, and that's how I set up my board. that is how I get a preseason setup ready to go. Like I said earlier in this video, there's probably some things that I do a bit more strange than others, but it's what I've found works for me. When you walk away from this video, don't take it all as this is what you should do. Oh wow, he does it this way, how wrong. I am a Midwest rail snowboarder that can take upwards of 500 to 600 laps in a single day, so I need maybe more wax than someone else, or maybe my temperature, whatever. If you somehow relate to Midwest snowboarding, some of these tips might help you. So the next time you wax, or maybe the first time you wax, try some of these things out. Maybe put more on than you think you should. Then scrape it all off. Maybe you'll find it does work better. The goal with this video is really just to show you a different way of waxing. Like I said, everyone has their own way. Maybe you've never done it and you're just trying to gather as much information as you can from different resources. I just wanted to put my 2 cents into the world for the select people that also board in the conditions that I board in and are wondering, Garrett, how is your board still sliding so well, or whatever the case may be. I wanted to just give a little bit of insight on how I do it, and maybe you can take something from it.